New electronics, and ultimately I want to take the old waypoints, the waypoints off my older unit and put it on my newer unit. I did a lot of work over the years. I've got 1 or 2 waypoints, so ultimately I don't want to lose that data. So the first thing you want to do is do a backup on both units. I've used my newer unit a little bit and I've got a few waypoints on it. So ultimately I want to do a backup on both units. And here's how you do that. You need an SD chip. An SD chip with a microchip built inside of it. What you want to do with this micro SD comes built in with it. Ensure you purchase one with both, because you don't know manufacturers, they'll want to use a SD and want to use a micro SD. So you take this little micro SD and you install it in your older unit here. I'm going to pop that in, close the door, and I'm going to press the top right button. The top right button is your Pages button. Press your Pages button. Then at this point you want to scroll up. Scroll up to where it says Files, press Files. Then it's going to give you an option. I know my memory card is on the left-hand side. You got your files. And the waypoints, routes, and trails and trips database is what you want to transfer over, all your waypoints. And a few routes, maybe some trails in there. I'm going to press on that, then it's going to give you some other options. At this point you want to export it out to your micro SD chip. So press Export. And once you press Export, I know my newer unit takes a GPX file. So at this point at the top it says Utadata version 5, database file version 5. I don't want that. I'm going to break this window down where it says GPX GPS exchange. So ultimately I'm going to press GPX GPS exchange, and then I'm going to press Export. And where do you want this? Do you want this to save on your unit, or do you want to save on the left? I want it on this SD microchip here. So I'm going to press left. And at this point, at the bottom, it's going to give you an option, and I'm going to click OK. Then it's going to ask you, do you want a new file, or do you want an existing file? I want to make a new file. So I'm going to press New. Then it's going to come up Waypoints, Routes, and Trails. You've only got so many characters you can use here. What I like doing is label it something that I know I can go back to. So I'm going to X that off. And normally what I do, I'll put W for waypoints, R for route, and T for trails. WRT. Then I want the month and the year. And sometimes let's go ahead and put the date as well. Just say it's 1st of March, 1 March, MAR, then 1/6. At this point I've got WRT1 MAR16. So this is the file name, GPX file name, and the date and what the information that I have to move over. At that point I'm going to hit enter. Then it's going to take all your waypoints, routes, and trails, and it's going to transfer it to that card. Once it transfers to the card, at that point you know you have a good backup. So at that point you can remove this card and go over to your new unit. Alright folks, all my waypoints, routes, and trails have been transferred over to this micro SD chip. And I'm going to remove this micro SD chip. Then my new unit takes the standard SD card, which is, it's beautiful that it's an SD card, not the micro SD. It makes it easier on everybody. So ultimately I'm going to take that micro SD and I'm going to insert it back into the regular chip there. And remember what I said, that you want to do a database transfer on this as well. You want to take the information off this newer unit. So simply put the SD chip back in your newer unit, insert the card. At that point I'm on the main screen there. It'll pop up with manage the card or not. I want to be on the main screen. So now I'm on the main screen. I'm going to hit info. I'm going to hit user data. Then I'm going to hit data transfer. When I hit this data transfer, it's going to say, do you want to merge from card or save the card? Remember, do a database backup first. And I want to save the card. Now press save the card. So then it gives you an option, save the card or add a new file. Remember, add a new file. Label it something that you can remember. So I'm going to hit add new file, then I can label it. Again, let's label it something we know. And I know I'm going to name it GAR. Then the date, which is, let's say 1 March. Then 1/6. Garmin 1 March 16. Then hit done. then at that point it's going to take all the information off of this unit and put it on the SD card. So therefore, I have a good backup of the Garmin unit before I do a database transfer from my older unit to my newer unit. Now that the information is transferred over the database, I've got a good database backup on the newer unit to the SD card. I want to take all my waypoints. Remember, so far we've just done a backup of what we got on both units. Now I want to take the waypoints, routes, and trails that I've done over here, and I want to transfer it over to my Garmin. So at this point, you're at your home screen, and you want to hit Info, User Data, Data Transfer. Then at this point, you've got a bunch of options. Merge from card. Remember, your information's on the card and you want to merge from the card. Now remember, on my older unit, I labeled it WRT1MAR16GPX. So right up here, I've got WRT1MAR16.GPX. .gpx meaning it was a GPX file. So at this point, I want to press on that file, then merge from selected file. Then it's going to take all the information on my waypoints, routes, and trails off of that SD card, and install all my waypoints will be on my new unit. So ultimately, you've got your information on this SD card. Once this is complete, it'll tell you transfer complete. Now you just kind of back out, and all your waypoints from your old unit will be installed on a new unit. Now I've got this on a SD chip. So ultimately these things are small, and especially if you're using the micro SDs, they're very easily to lose. So at this point, I will take this information, this SD card, and install it my home computer or my laptop. I carry a laptop wherever lakes we run off to. I'll install this SD card in my laptop, and I will take these files and I will save them to my laptop. So ultimately, I've got multiple places where my waypoints are, because you never know when you need this information. Folks, I am excited to get on my new Garmin here. It's got some awesome features like Panoptics. Down scan, side scan. It is the high-tech unit, folks. Garmin.com. I can't express how awesome this unit is. You've got to actually experience it for yourself, and hopefully this video helps you out a little bit, because ultimately I had some speed bumps getting here, and ultimately figured out the hard way, but ultimately I hope this makes it easier for you.